I brought back the fedora. Calm down. It's just for this video, okay? Calm down. So for today's vinyl record review, we're going to be talking about Michael. I should specify. This is the Michael Biopic soundtrack. Now, it's actually part 1 of 2, which is an important thing to know when talking not just about the biopic in general, but also what's going to be on the soundtrack, this vinyl. Now, I want to make a video in the future talking about Michael Jackson as the myth, the man, the legend himself, as well as my thoughts on the biopic. So I'm not going to do like a full blown review, but TLDR, I loved it. I thought it was great. And Jafar Jackson just embodied his uncle. It is wild how similar they look at some points. There are some scenes where I'm like, wait, that's Michael Jackson. What the hell? It was insane. He killed it. He nailed it. But anyways, let's get back to the vinyl. Let's focus a little bit. All right, starting with the disc, it is a nice red color. One is, but I like it. Thematically, it makes sense. Like the Beat It jacket as well as the Thriller outfit, they're both red. So yeah, it makes sense to me. I know there's a version out there that's I think gold, but you know what? I think I like the red. The red works pretty well in my opinion. So now we've talked about the disc, let's talk about the packaging. All right, so here we have the album for Michael. And I think I got to say, I love for all the promotion for the most part when it comes to like the posters and now this that they use the Beat It suit, like the Beat It jacket with the piano shirt. I one day want to get like a replica or like, you know, I want this jacket essentially is what I'm saying. I love this jacket. It's so iconic, it's so good. I know a lot of people talk about the Thriller jacket. No, I want the Beat It jacket. I love it. Beat It's my like third favorite Michael Jackson song. So 100%. I want this jacket. And I want that shirt too. That shirt would be cool to have too. Anyways, I think it looks fantastic. It's still insane how much Jafar just embodied Michael in this and just looks like him. Look at it. Look at him. Look at his face and the hair. He looks identical. It's insane. And you should see in the movie. Oh my gosh, I'm just nerding about the movie. I'm supposed to be talking about the packaging. Okay. I love I love the outfit. I just talked about it for like what, 2 minutes. Um the logo looks really nice. I like the underline kind of cursive writing style to it. I think it's really fitting with the gold and all of that. So I think they nailed it with the logo, with the outfitting, and even the background with like the gold light, you know. Really, really dope. Check it out the back. We can see the track list with I'll Be There, Never Can Say Goodbye, Who's Loving You, the medley, I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, Ben, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Beat It, Thriller, Billie Jean, Wanna Be Starting Something, Human Nature, Working Day and Night, and Bad at the end. So pretty straightforward. You got more of the golden lights and all that, which makes sense, you know. We do have this interesting thing. So they give you, you see, the discs have the paper sleeves, but they also give you an alternate jacket for both both records, which I think is really cool. You got, so like this would be for side A and side B, and as you can see, you can open up as a jacket. And I think something that I've never really said on this channel is that, you know, these kind of like vinyl sleeves are cool and all, but they ultimately, if they get like really hot, they can melt onto the discs. So it's really nice to give you an option here. So I do recommend, by the way, if you're a new record collector, get paper inner sleeves, you know, and just replace them. You can still keep those jackets if they look really cool, and you can just put them in with the discs. But I do recommend getting paper inner sleeves for the discs. But yeah, so it's the same thing. It looks really similar to the second disc one. So yeah, that's what we got with this, and I think it's really solid. It's so nice, and you know, no complaints here. It is amazing. I love it. Let's head back and talk about the album itself. All right, so from here on out, we're going to be getting into spoilers for the movie. So if you don't want spoilers for the Michael movie, this is your time to leave the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one that want to go. But for those who want my take on this album, the music in it, then feel free to stick around. So the first thing to note is that this is essentially another compilation album. If you and yes, there are there's a couple Michael Jackson compilation albums out there. I think you got the Essential Michael Jackson, you got Number Ones, which they just re-released on vinyl, but the reason I was gonna get it is not on the vinyl version for some reason, so I'm not going to get it. At least not now. I might in the future. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where my wallet takes me. This Is It, the soundtrack for that was a compilation album with that included the single This Is It. And then we had the Scream compilation album, which I am getting because it's the closest thing we'll get to Blood on the Dance Floor on vinyl because the state will not repress it for some reason. But anyways, this is a weird compilation album because this goes from the Jackson 5 to Bad. But when I say Jackson 5 to Bad, I think that's overselling it because really it's Jackson 5 to Thriller with Bad added onto it. Just the song Bad. Because for some reason, this covers from the Jackson 5 to 1988. And between the Victory Tour and 1988, it's just a jump. For some reason, the making of the Bad album is not there. I think the main reason is for the plot's sake with between because the Victory Tour was the end of Michael versus Joe Jackson, as I say, like their conflict, the conflict of him and being working with his family or whatever. That ends with the Victory Tour. You know, there wouldn't be like a peak confrontation kind of situation. You know what I mean, right? Like the story came to its conclusion that they were trying to tell about this guy who was forced to pretty much by his father and felt pressured throughout his life because of the trauma as a child, and he overcame his father. So that led to a natural conclusion in this section of Michael's life. So it does kind of make sense, and then showing Bad on his solo tour, kind of showing that now he's fully a creative force to be reckoned with. Anyways, yeah, there's 3 Jackson 5 tracks on here. There's I'll Be There, Never Can Say Goodbye, and Who's Loving You. And then there's a medley track when they're adults of I Want You Back, ABC, and The Love You Save. And that's actually played in the credits. So it's interesting that it's the 4th track on here. Then again, I think what they're trying to do with this is make it sort of a timeline thing. Because even the way that they're sorted, I believe side A is Jackson 5 tracks, and then side B are the Jackson tracks, and then I think it Don't Stop Till You Get Enough is also like the last one. So it kind of is like, it's in chronological order for the most part. There is one part where it deviates and goes backwards, but it makes sense for the plot. But after you get this medley, you get the live performance of Ben from the 1981 tour. Now, for those who aren't like really down the Michael Jackson rabbit hole, you're probably wondering what's Ben. Well, Michael Jackson, before Off the Wall, had 4 albums that were solo albums released under Motown Records. Now, if there's anyone who's like a really hardcore Michael Jackson fan, if I'm getting anything wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But I believe those first 4 were released under Motown Records, and Michael didn't have that much creative control or input with it. I could be wrong. But Ben is probably his most popular pre off the wall era song if you don't count anything from the Jackson 5. So he performed it in 1981 and that made the cut. This was also on Michael Jackson number 1s. Now, honestly, I'll be totally honest. If the vinyl re-release that they just put out for the number ones, if they kept the Ben live performance as the final track, I probably would have just got that instead. But because of that and the ABC medley thing, I ended up going with this. So that tells you right there kind of a little issue with this is that there are just other compilation albums out there and this only goes to a certain point. But this does also have some stuff that the other compilation albums just don't have. So that's what really makes it worth it, to be honest. Then we got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, we got Beat It, we got Thriller, and we got Billie Jean. What I wish they would have done, and I'll say this for one other song on this, I wish they got the live performance of this song. Billie Jean live at Motown 25 would have been such a great track to have on this. Because here's the thing, I get that if you rewatch the Motown 25, he's like, Michael is singing the song, but they also have the song like playing overhead kind of. So I'm not sure entirely if he's lip syncing or if he's singing or doing both or whatever while dancing and stuff. So it would just sound like Billie Jean with an audience and then clapping to the beat like they do in the clip. But at the same time, I would have loved to hear that on vinyl. That would have been awesome. It would have been like I was at a concert. But no. Because the thing is, Motown 25 performance, that was a big deal. That was when Michael Jackson showed the moonwalk to the world, or debuted it, I guess. Even though I think he didn't create the moonwalk, but it became his signature move. So it was like a huge deal when people saw that. They went crazy if you watch the clip. I just wish the live performance was there, but also having just the normal song is pretty cool too. Then we got Wanna Be Startin' Something, and then Human Nature, and then we get Working Day and Night. Now here's the thing, and thematically with the story they were trying to tell with this biopic, it makes sense why they chose Working Day and Night for this pivotal moment. But for the victory tour at the end, when Michael's like, this is our last and final tour, they were singing, I believe it's called Shake Your Body. I could be totally wrong. But they changed it to Working Day and Night. And if you think about, yeah, Michael throughout his whole life was working day and night for his career. Like, as a kid with the Jackson 5. And when he was as an adult, he's like, by day, he was rehearsing with his brothers and trying to do all this stuff. And it's like, Joseph, and he's probably thinking in his head, like, Joseph's going to keep us working day and night. So let's rip the Band-Aid off now. We're done. While Working Day and Night plays. I think that was actually a really good choice to have that song play there. Even though it's not accurate, to what happened in real life. But, it's a biopic. It's a dramatization. And then the album ends with Bad, and I wish they did Bad at Wembley at 1988 live, But, we got Bad. And that's how it ends. So it's a very weird compilation because at the same time, it's like the greatest of Thriller with some other stuff from his older projects thrown in. You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely think just for those two live performances that I mentioned earlier on that were included, I do think this is actually kind of worth it. If you're a Michael Jackson fan or you're a fan of the biopic, I 100% think you'll love this album. Now, if you're looking for a good overall Michael Jackson compilation album, I would not recommend this. I probably would recommend number ones if I'm being honest. The only reason is that I think you should check out all of his albums because the music in all of them are pretty good. Especially check out History and Blood on the Dance Floor. Those are so underrated. Please do. What did you think of the Michael Jackson biopic? Have you seen it? Have you not? Let me know in the comments down below. What's your favorite Michael Jackson song? Your favorite Michael Jackson album? Let me know in those comments down below. I'd love to know. Just a reminder, I have a Spotify playlist of all my favorite tracks from each record review I do. For this video, I'm going to be putting the Ben live performance in that playlist. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell when you do. And yeah, so long and good night.